Alcohol-related deaths in the U.S. rose, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic, as many Americans dealt with stress and loneliness. Even drinking a little can harm your health. More Canadians are thinking seriously about how much they drink. About 20 of Canadians drink more than the guidelines say is safe. So yes, alcohol is a big problem and can change nice people into reckless and foolish ones. Going out to drink on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday is common. If you want to do something amazing with your life, those two things don't go together. I was doing everything to escape the pain and frustration from my losses by working too much, drinking too much, and smoking too much. The terrible effects of alcohol on the world have grown a lot in the last 5 years. More loneliness and fewer social ties have caused millions to turn to alcohol to dull their pain and trauma. The idea that alcohol can save you is not true. Instead of helping with pain, alcohol brings new problems, pushing you away from family, emptying your wallet, and raising health risks. When you drink, you might think you're fun, but it's just like the silly ideas that Homer's friend Barney had when he was drinking, thinking he's a funny and classy guy, and it makes everyone look foolish. I believe that's the real issue. Everyone cared for her, but no one could really reach her. That made me very sad. I drank so much that I couldn't wake up. Yes, alcohol is a really harmful drug. It's dangerous because it can make you addicted. Alcohol makes your brain release dopamine, which feels good. With regular use, the brain changes by making less of its own dopamine, causing tolerance and the need for more alcohol to feel the same way. This keeps the cycle going to feel the initial high again. Over time, the brain depends on alcohol to keep normal dopamine levels, creating a real need for it. In fact, most addiction doesn't start with the goal of getting drunk. Most addicts didn't just wake up and think, I want to get really drunk. They woke up and thought I want to feel normal. It was this search for feeling normal that caused the addiction. We also call it the reward system. When you eat when you're hungry, you feel good, and when you do well, you get rewarded. All these actions help you succeed. Alcohol and nicotine trick this system. Some can hit it hard and give a bigger kick than anything natural can provide. When someone is an alcoholic, they become a different person with a different way of thinking and acting. They might be angry or dishonest, and these traits come out when they drink. When bad things happen, we often feel sad or think poorly of ourselves, and we might turn to quick fixes like drugs or alcohol, which only make things worse. Given how harmful alcohol can be, is it possible to beat it? Even those who have hit rock bottom many times say yes, it can be done. The fight is always worth it, for you and your family. If your reason for staying sober is strong enough, then those problems seem small. My son told me, I thought you were going to die last night. I've never been this scared, Dad. I'm scared you're going to die. I already lost Grandpa. I can't lose you too. Can you please stop drinking? Can you please be the dad I remember? Talk to me about how you feel about alcohol now. I hardly drink anymore. I used to drink a lot each week. There was always at least one wild night on the weekend. What's happening here? When you drink 15 or 20 times a week, you're often either drunk or hungover. If you really enjoy alcohol, it does two things. It makes you more social and happy, and it helps with anxiety. Alcohol affects your cells. Alcohol poisoning happens when your cells are harmed. There were times I thought I could never be sober. I always had alcohol. It made fun things more fun and dull things less dull. When someone dies from alcohol poisoning, the reason is that it harms the cells in the body. Alcohol is what often throws me off track the most. Many people really underestimate how much it affects them. Right now, at least 1 in 10 Americans struggles with alcohol use or dependence, which we now call alcohol use disorder. We started with 2 or 3 glasses a day, then half a bottle, and it just sped up quickly. Alcohol is a strong drug. When people try to stop drinking, one big problem is their friends. If someone hangs out with heavy drinkers, it can be very hard to stay sober. The pressure from friends, the normal view of drinking too much, and the fear of missing out on fun can make it hard to quit. Leaving harmful friend groups or finding new, supportive friends is very important for your recovery and growth. If you're trying to improve your life and your friends are a problem, this helps you see who your real friends aren't. You might feel like you can't let them go, but you really can. In fact, you should. It would also be better for them. If they want to drag you down with them, it's not good for either of you. Just like quitting smoking, your body can heal, but it takes time. In the next part, Mark Manson, who wrote The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, talks about his relationship with alcohol. Even though he drank a lot for many years, he chose to stop completely. While trying to drink less alcohol, Mark felt really tired both physically and emotionally for a long time. These feelings are usual after a night of heavy drinking, but he was shocked to feel this way after just a glass or two of wine with his meal. If you've been drinking a lot for several years, it can take 6 to 12 months for your body to fully recover. Your brain and organs need time to go back to normal. I thought, wow, I've been drinking since I was 18, almost 2 decades. It's amazing. After a few weeks, I started waking up with more energy and sleeping really well. Before I stopped drinking completely, I had already cut back a lot, going out maybe 2 or 3 times a month. When I drank, it was just 2 or 3 glasses of wine. It's funny because when you cut back, you notice things you don't see when you drink a lot. When you drink a lot, you expect to feel bad. So when you do feel bad, you think, of course, I drank a lot. But when you drink a little, it shows you how much it really affects you. I would go out and have 2 glasses of wine with dinner. Not only would I feel about 20 worse the next day, but I would also feel 10 worse the day after that. That surprised me. I thought, wow, it's not just about hangovers. It's about feeling low on energy and motivation every day, and it can last for several days. There's no denying that alcohol is a drug. It's a legal drug accepted by society that makes billions of dollars each year. It's well known that alcohol can be bad for you, especially when you drink a lot over time. So why do so many people keep drinking it? Most people drink alcohol to feel good in their minds. Many people use it to relax or celebrate after a long day, or to help handle stress. It helps take them from a bad mood to a better one. Alcohol can really help with anxiety, which is why many people turn to it. If you enjoy drinking, it does 2 things. It makes you more social and excited when your blood alcohol level is rising. That's why people keep drinking once they start. If they stop, those good feelings fade away. So, they keep drinking. That's one reason. It makes you feel more excited and happier. The second thing it does is help ease worry. So if you feel a bit shy around others and you also feel good when drinking alcohol, which not everyone feels, then it can be a helpful drug. But the issue is it's a helpful drug for only a short time. Right, there are effects later. Yeah, this doesn't sound great. Well, alcohol is a strange drug because it doesn't make people dumb. This has been checked. People who are drunk take a lot more risks. You might think that's because they're too dumb to see the risk. But it's not true. If you ask them about the risk when they're drunk, they can explain it well. What it stops them from doing is caring about the risk. During the time of getting sober, feeling bad after stopping is normal for people who drink a lot. Symptoms can be different for everyone, and their strength can make it tough for some to stay on track. Like with smoking, cravings can be very strong and may lead people back to using substances to avoid the pain of withdrawal. When people stop drinking, they may feel more stress, a lower mood, and less happiness. Changes in the brain can make them drink even more, just to feel normal again before they started drinking at all. You feel uneasy, worried, and stressed, and you begin to notice stronger cravings to drink more alcohol to lessen these feelings. So, you end up trying to fix how you feel, which keeps the cycle going because you want to avoid the discomfort of not drinking. In mild cases, these small signs and symptoms may go away in 1 to 2 days. In more moderate cases, it could take 3 to 5 days. But the main point is, these withdrawal symptoms, even if they are mild, can keep someone drinking. They think, I don't want to feel this way, and I notice that when I drink, it goes. This may keep the cycle of drinking problems going. Alcohol, unlike other nutrients, cannot be easily used by the human body for energy. Instead, the body sees alcohol as a poison and starts working to get rid of it. As soon as alcohol enters the blood, it affects not just the liver, but the whole body. It messes with the balance of brain chemicals, slows down thinking, weakens the immune system, and puts stress on different organs, causing many health issues that go beyond just the liver. When you take a moment to think about life, the cells in our bodies each have a job to do. but they all need nutrients. They need these nutrients to understand why cells in the brain or body stop working right. We must look at the basics of biology. Every living cell needs energy to function, and this is a simple way to connect everything. This is a big simplification of nutritional science. Basically, we can look at macronutrition, which means the foods we eat that give us energy, not micronutrition. There are three main types of macronutrients: protein, fats, and carbs. The problem with alcohol is that when it enters our diet, it doesn't have a place to go. The liver helps get rid of the alcohol we drink. Is it really true? Could it really be that the last thing to leave the body is the alcohol, and that it matters so much? I challenge you to see. If someone comes to me and says, "I can't stop drinking, can you help me?" I can say yes and then help them. That's the best part. I've said this for a long time. When I pass away, I don't want friends to be the first thing people talk about. I want this to be what they mention first. And I will spend my life showing that. Most people, when they drink, feel a bit sick and a bit silly, and then they stop. For me, it was all about wanting more and more. I would start having fun with my friends, but I'd see them switch to coffee at 11 p.m., or one friend would say, "I've had enough. I'll just drink water." But I wouldn't stop. I was the last girl at the bar, urging everyone to take Zambuca shots. I didn't know when to stop. To me, stopping meant just going to bed. My drinking was different from my friends because I stayed until the end. I was sneaking drinks and getting sick while they knew when it was time to go home. There was nothing cool or fun about it. It was sad and pathetic, and by the end, I was alone and cut off from my friends. My family wanted nothing to do with me until I got my life together. Here's a short lesson on alcoholism for those who may not know. It is an addiction, and it is a disease. I didn't know this until 1956 when the American Medical Association said it was a disease. It has two parts. First, there is a strong urge in your mind that brings only deep sadness and a need to get more. This is the hardest part of addiction, the strong pull to want more even when it only leads to sadness and wanting to give up. The second part is a reaction in your body. When you drink a martini, your body says, "I want everything you had last time, and even more." There are two issues: serious addiction and all the problems that come with it, including brain changes and other effects of addiction. There is trauma that stays in a person's body. It doesn't go away on its own after someone has been hurt. But you can't really deal with that trauma until the addiction is under control. You can't start healing the trauma right away. First, they can't face it, and second, it makes the addiction worse. It's not about being weak. It's a sickness many don't realize they have. When someone says just stop, it can make you really mad. Many of us think, why can't they just stop? But stopping isn't enough. We need a support system. For addiction, we need 12-step meetings, therapy, and a way to check our mental health. We must work through the steps, have a sponsor, and find a community of people who understand our struggles. This helps us heal by seeing how one addict can help another. That is our peace. But until we reach that place, just stopping is nearly impossible. He turned me around and said to remember it's not your fault. I was confused and asked, "What?" He repeated, "It's not your fault." I asked him to say that again. He said, "It's not your fault." I questioned, "What do you mean it's not my fault? I'm the one doing it." "What do you mean?" Then he explained addiction and alcohol to me, and he saved my life. You have to remove that from your mind because for people with addiction, this is not a choice. No one wants this to happen. This is not their fault. So let's begin there with love and support, saying, "Look, I want to help you." Most people say, "Why can't you just stop?" Well, ask someone, "Why can't you stop breathing?" When you have a brain disorder, it's not logical. Why would I put something harmful into my body that is destroying my life? That's not logical. So telling me to stop doesn't make sense. I know there's something wrong with my mind. I've picked up this bad habit. I can't drink because if I do, I can't stop. So I've been going to AA for a long time. Many people have told me that if hard work could make you sober, I would have been sober 20 years ago. I tried so many times. But in the end, it's about having a spiritual connection and some faith, which is often a tough cycle, whether it was with sex, drugs, or anything else. I traded what I really wanted and what I believed was true because my truth is that I am my best self when I am clear. I like to call it God, and that presence is truly within me. I've never felt that without a spiritual practice. Music has always been that practice for me. I think it has shaped who I am. I've made a lot of mistakes. Since I became famous, I've made a lot of mistakes because of the drugs I was using or the situations I got into. But those mistakes helped me learn and turned into songs, talks, or even things I shared in 12-step meetings that might have helped someone. I really don't know, but I know I'm here for a purpose. It took many years to understand this. If you think you have a problem or know someone who does, please reach out for help. Talk to someone who knows more about it and be honest, because keeping secrets can hurt us. If you're facing an addiction like I did, it's hard to admit. I wanted to change, but didn't know how. I had to find new things to fill my life instead of the old habits I had. And 24 hours became 1 day, then 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days. Soon enough, I started to form a new habit and a new way of living. It only takes one person to change a family's bad luck. 2 DUIs in a row and a really high blood alcohol level meant I was facing jail time and the chance of getting fired. It was a chaotic mess tied to my drinking problem. Alcohol is also the only drug that can make people more violent. I didn't understand what was happening. I began to drink more and more, and it was hard for me to admit I was an alcoholic. I woke up with terrible hangovers. Drinking used to be a way to connect with others and have fun. Now, it had turned into something I did every night, alone. Those moments filled me with such deep shame that I couldn't stop drinking after those experiences. The real Lucy showed up when she was drinking. I was drinking too, just trying to feel better. Staying sober was my main goal. I got and stayed sober by facing the truth, finding people to talk to, being honest, taking responsibility, following a program, helping others, and working with a sponsor. It was only when I built a strong base of sobriety that I started to grow in other ways. With a lot of time at home, I think many people faced the same issue with alcohol. It was getting earlier and easier to drink. No matter what I did, I didn't get the approval I wanted, so I kept chasing it a bit more, without realizing I needed to escape that cycle. My first escape was through drugs and alcohol. Every time I did or said something I regretted, it happened while I was drinking. I thought about how I didn't want to keep living a life where I always wished I hadn't said or done something. I lost control. I didn't care anymore. I didn't want to live. I had no passion for life because alcohol made me feel bad. I didn't care. It felt like, after working hard all my life, I just didn't care. I would tell my wife that I didn't care if I had nothing. I didn't care if I was dead. My parents had reached their limit with me. My dad told me they loved me, but they couldn't keep watching me hurt myself. They said they couldn't be around me anymore. I knew I was losing control. The only thing I could think to feel better was to get drunk, but that just caused more and more problems. So the answer is nothing can make it go away except getting medical help and living in the moment, because that's all we have, moments in time. Once I step out that door, I can't go back and relive it because this is real life, not a practice run. I don't care what happened 5 minutes ago. I'm going to keep going today and enjoy myself. I know that what God gives, He can take away in a second. Everything can change quickly, and I've seen it happen. But I think it was a big test because sometimes when life is great and you can't tell good from bad, you need a little rain so you can appreciate the sunshine again. Alcohol is a very harmful drug, and if you are drawn to it, it might be because it helps reduce anxiety, makes socializing easier, or gives a nice feeling, or maybe all three at once. If you are more likely to become an alcoholic, you might feel all these things together. My business partner became an alcoholic about 3 or 4 years after we started the business because it was just too hard. He even had serious thoughts of suicide but didn't tell me then. When I read your story, I connected with it a lot because I also didn't share what I was going through with him, and he didn't share with me. After we talked about the business, he said he used to stand on train platforms and think about jumping in front of a train. At that time, I didn't really understand what alcoholism or mental health meant. One night at 3 a.m., I went downstairs and opened the laundry room. He was in there with a bottle of wine, sitting on the clothes in the dark, drinking. I've read similar stories like yours where you had thoughts like that. You had moments of those kinds of thoughts too. Yes, there are definitely things I've never shared about it. It was really bad, and it was a problem. Only after I saw myself did I realize I needed to change. There were a few pictures of me on a boat. I called it my pills and booze face. My face looked way bigger than it does now, and I didn't like myself much then. So, I decided to change. The issues we had in the band weren't anyone's fault, and I don't want to sound like I'm complaining. It feels like when we were in the band, the best way to keep us safe because of our fame was to lock us in our rooms. Of course, the minibar was in the room. At some point, I thought I would have a party for one, and that habit stuck with me for many years. Then I looked back and realized I'd been drinking for a long time, which is surprising for someone my age. Getting fit really changed my life when I was at my lowest point. I didn't have any drug charges, but before that time, I was the unhealthiest person you could imagine. I was dealing with some tough times in very bad ways, like using drugs and drinking. My life was really out of control. What helped me was when my cellmate looked at me and said, "Doug, you can either be strong or you can be weak." I was complaining to him about my problems. I said my parents were this way, my friends were that way, and I was bullied a lot. He told me, "Doug, you made choices that got you here." I asked him what he meant, and he said, "You're in jail, right?" I realized that we are not just defined by what happens to us, but by how we respond to it. He said that in jail, you can either be strong and take responsibility for your actions or stay weak and blame others. You are here now, and you can step up and do what you need to do to improve. Or you can complain, cry alone, blame others for your issues, and feel sorry for yourself. Where I grew up, being called a coward is not okay. I decided to take the chance to be strong. I think when we don't believe in ourselves, it helps when someone says they believe in us and will guide us. I never had anyone do that for me before, showing me support. It felt like something was finally filling the emptiness I had, whether it was from friends who used me for drugs or my relationship with my parents. For me, that was what really made me believe in myself and pushed me to take a chance. It's your job to change things. No one will do it for you. You need to look at yourself in the mirror. Alcohol can help you feel more social and less anxious. But the issue is you don't learn how to act without it in social situations. You quickly start to depend on alcohol not just to help you socialize, but also as a way to behave around others. I would tell young people who are listening that this is not a smart idea. You should learn to be with others when you're sober so you know how to do it. I had a friend in Montreal who had a monkey farm in St. Kitts. They would go there to study how alcohol affects green monkeys, and 5 of them would drink alcohol the first time they tried it. They had videos of these monkeys drinking, and it looked like a wild party. But 5 of them would drink so much they passed out on their first try. Those were the monkeys that were more likely to become alcoholics. Alcohol is a very harmful drug. About 50 of murders happen when someone is drunk, either the victim, the attacker, or both. It's a major cause of domestic abuse and often leads to problems on dates. If you look closely at why people commit crimes, you don't have to look far to see that alcohol can make people more aggressive. It's not just that they lose control. We did tests at McGill showing that when drunk people were in a competitive setting where they could act aggressively and kept track of their actions, they actually became more aggressive, not less. So, alcohol is harmful and can change good people into impulsive and foolish ones. My mom was an alcoholic. I got help for myself. But then I faced the question of how long I should let my mom be an alcoholic without saying, "You have a problem, and you need to do something about it because it's getting worse." After a few years of getting better, talking to my sponsor, going to meetings, and sharing my story, I decided to talk to her about it. I said, "You're an alcoholic, and you need to take action." She got really mad at me and didn't do anything. Eventually, I told her I can't see her until she gets sober. She got sober, and I invited her to my wedding. I've been happy at times in my life, but I had never felt true joy. To me, happiness is different from joy. Joy is lasting and doesn't depend on outside things. It comes from within. Alcohol made me feel like, wow, this is what I've been looking for my whole life. I felt like my true self, funnier and more liked. That was all a lie. It wasn't true. I was not my true self. It all started with, wow, I can be free and funny, and boys will like me. This was when I was younger, right? I kept believing that the real Lucy showed up when she drank. Guess what? The real Lucy did show up, but it was the anger and hurt I had kept inside for so long. But drinking also calmed my mind. I know I'm not the only one who feels this way. My mind just never stops. It's tiring. But when I drank, I was like a classic binge drinker, blacking out and forgetting what I did or said, which is scary. It's hard to explain this kind of drinking to others because people who haven't lived it or faced it personally don't get it. Addiction is still a topic that many avoid because people would just say, well, Lucy, don't drink. Oh, thank you. I'll try that. I get emotional when I talk about these things because I really love where I am in my life now. Wow, I didn't expect to feel this emotional so soon. It's been a really strong and tough journey with good and bad times. I love that I can sit here with you now and be my true self. I've always felt a bit like an open wound, if that makes sense. Even as a kid, I felt things very deeply. You might say that I relied too much on others or took on their problems, but now I feel emotional because of my viewpoint and pride in my choices. It's not sad tears, it's more about joy. You can mess up your life in many ways, and it can affect every part of your body. I slowly lost my dreams because of alcohol, which is seen as normal in our culture. You need to find something in life that makes you want to stay sober and not mess up. I drank hoping to find happiness and a lifestyle that would make me happy. It didn't work, and one morning I realized I had drunk a lot, but I was still unhappy. What was wrong? I remember in high school, speakers would tell us not to do drugs, but they never mentioned alcohol. Alcohol became a part of my life. You might wonder, why do people drink too much? If you like alcohol, it may seem like a silly question. It's part of social life, bringing people together. My mom said it's really bad. You don't want to go down that path. Over 3 million people around the world will die this year from alcohol-related issues. From baby showers, christenings, college events, weddings, parties, funerals, barbecues, celebrations, and more. So she's telling me it makes sense to avoid it. Meanwhile, I see people making fools of themselves while drinking. We've been led to believe there are only two kinds of drinkers. Some people are at the lowest point, dependent on alcohol, while others are happy social drinkers who can't handle their drinks well. When you drink too much, you do silly things, hurt yourself, and harm your health. It's hard for those around you. You might start lying, and it ruins your life. Sure, it can be fun, but you need something better. I lost all my chances and became almost unemployable. My life fell apart. My family wanted nothing to do with me, and I lost my friends. I saw no way out. The truth is, it's a wide range. I really think you should stop drinking before you hit rock bottom. I just kept digging myself in deeper and deeper. One day, I had a clear moment like people in recovery talk about. I realized I couldn't keep living like this anymore. I had hit rock bottom and reached my limit with the pain I was in. The fear of change felt less than the pain I was feeling at that moment. That pushed me to make a change. I went to a treatment center and stayed there for 100 days, which is a long time for rehab. I did this because I knew I had to get it right or my life would be over. I took this chance seriously. I understood that even though I think I'm smart, my own thinking had landed me in this situation. If I didn't learn how to live and gain some new skills and tools for my life, I would either go to jail or harm someone else or myself. Now, we're about 1.5 years later, and my life has changed a lot. It's a great thing. I want to tell anyone watching or listening that there is a lot of pressure on young people. It's not just about drinking, but about finding joy by going out and partying. That can be fun, and I hope you enjoy it. But if you often wake up feeling like you're not having as much fun as your friends, then think about it. You don't have to party if it's not for you. What's better than being clear-headed and avoiding mistakes? You need adventure and something to look forward to. Remember, drinking too much is seen as 13 or more drinks a week. If you drink 3 glasses of wine each night, sharing a bottle with a friend or partner, you fit into that group. An alcoholic is someone who can't stop drinking once they start. They might drink until they pass out or become unable to function. People might say, "Wow, you're slurring your words. You can't drive." They may get DUIs and have problems at work, like being told not to show up hungover. But an excessive drinker has a limit of 13 drinks. If you have 6 drinks a week as a woman, your chance of breast cancer is 40 higher. If you drink up to 10 drinks, that chance rises to 70. So, looking at health benefits, recent research from England shows that if you stop drinking for 30 days, people end up living longer. People are feeling more energetic. They're losing weight. Most of the things we do that become habits are to block our anxiety, to block our pain, to block bad memories, to block feeling awkward around others, the fear that I won't have fun, I won't be interesting, I'm more relaxed, I'm more fun. You know, the big lie is that I won't have a fun life. My mom has a way of making it sound like a really bad idea, and I had many aunts, uncles, and cousins who were all drinkers and drug users. Watching them, I thought, ooh, that does not look good. Really like some rough stuff. So I was just like, no. And my mom was saying, it's really bad. You don't want to do it. You don't want to end up like that. So she's in my ear making it sound smart to not do it. I see people acting silly while they do it. So I thought, yeah. When I thought I would have kids, I wanted to ask my mom, like, you were amazing. My sister and I never got in trouble. We never did drugs or drank. No trouble at all. My sister is still the most straight-laced person you'll meet. So when you tried it, what was it like for you? Oh, alcohol made me feel like I wanted to dance on the table. It is great. I love it the most. I just don't let myself do it because it doesn't match with wanting to live forever. There are too many downsides, but it's fun. So I understand how people get in trouble. I just don't have an addictive personality. For me, it was easy to say, yeah, this is fun, but I can see the downsides, and there are just too many. Unlike many drugs that stick to the outside of cells, alcohol can directly enter cells because it easily moves inside them. This ability to get into so many organs and cells is why it can cause harm. Ethanol can harm cells a lot, because when you drink it, your body has to change it into something else since it is harmful. If you think ethanol is bad, acetaldehyde is even worse. Acetaldehyde is a poison. It kills cells and does not care which ones it hurts. That's clearly a problem. The body tries to fix this by using a part of the NAD pathway to change acetaldehyde into acetate. Acetate is something your body can use for energy. When you drink alcohol, it changes from ethanol to acetaldehyde to acetate, and this process makes a harmful substance. Acetaldehyde is very harmful. If your body can't change ethanol to acetaldehyde to acetate quickly enough, acetaldehyde will build up and cause more harm. So, it's really important for your body to make this change fast. This happens in the liver, where the cells are good at this process. But these cells are also affected by the acetaldehyde during this change. So, the liver cells really suffer when your body breaks down alcohol. The poison, acetaldehyde, is what makes you feel drunk. Many people don't know that being drunk is really a disruption caused by poison affecting how your brain works. Alcohol used to be a way for me to connect with others and have fun. Now, it turned into something I did every night, alone. I would wake up with a terrible hangover, and for the first time, I heard a voice in my head saying this isn't right. Those moments filled me with deep shame, and I couldn't let go of alcohol after those times. I believed that the real me showed up when I drank. Until I stopped, alcohol was a big part of my life. I started drinking when I was young. People who drink daily have smaller brains. I drank to escape my pain. I didn't really know who I was until recently. Alcohol is not good for health. I thought that if I could quit alcohol for a whole year, it would show I was in control. I believed I could go back to it without problems. But that's not true. Sobriety comes first. I got and stayed sober by facing the truth, finding friends to talk to, being honest, holding myself responsible, following a program, helping others, working with a sponsor, taking stock of my life, and making things right. It was only when I built a strong base of sobriety that I started to grow in other areas, like going vegan and becoming a middle-aged endurance athlete. The ways I learned to cope were actually very harmful and damaging. I really feel like a burden has been lifted off my shoulders that I didn't even know was there. I thought I liked alcohol, but I hated that sometimes I would drink too much. I've been trying to get sober since I was 20. Now I'm 33. It takes time. It took time, and it took patience with myself. Not drinking has made me see that self-love is still important. I wonder why I feel like I only love myself based on what I do and the results I get. Can I stop focusing on that and just love myself for who I am and how I help others? When my drinking got really bad, my parents reached their limit with me. My dad told me they loved me, but they couldn't keep watching me hurt myself. They had to step back. Fitness really helped me turn my life around when I was feeling hopeless and in jail for drug charges. Before that, I was the most unhealthy person you could imagine. I was dealing with some tough times in really bad ways, like using drugs and alcohol. My life was out of control. What helped me a lot was when my cellmate looked me in the eye and said, "Doug, you can either be a man or you can be weak." I was telling him how many problems I had. I said my parents were this way, my friends were like that, and I was bullied and picked on. He told me, "Doug, you made choices that got you locked up." I asked him what he meant, and he said, "You're here, right?" I truly believe, Tom, that our lives are not just about what happens to us. They are about the choices we make because of what happens. He said, when I was in jail, "You can be a man and look in the mirror and take responsibility for yourself. You got yourself here. You're here right now. You can stand up and do what you need to feel better. Or you can sit back, cry, blame others for your problems, and say, 'Poor me.'" Where I grew up, being called a coward isn't okay. I decided to take the chance to be strong, even when it's hard. Especially when we don't believe in ourselves. When someone says, "I believe in you, and I will help you get started," it means a lot. I never had that before, that kind of support. It filled a gap for me, whether it was from friends who only wanted drugs or my problems with my parents. That made me believe in myself and want to take a risk. It's up to you to make a change. No one will do it for you. You need to look at yourself in the mirror. My mom was an alcoholic. I got help, and then I faced the question of how long I should let my mom be an alcoholic without saying she needs to change because it was getting worse. After a few years of getting help, talking to my sponsor, and going to meetings, I decided to talk to her. I told her, "You're an alcoholic. You need to do something about it." She got really mad at me and didn't change. Eventually, I said, "I can't see you until you get sober." She got sober, and I invited her to my wedding. No amount of alcohol is safe. Drinking can hurt our health. It is very harmful to society. The risk grows with each drink. Alcohol is seen as a Class 1 cancer-causing agent. So that's similar to benzene and tobacco smoke. It's the poison acetaldehyde that causes the feeling of being drunk. Canadian health officials said that a low-risk amount of alcohol is about 10 drinks each week. Your risks start to grow at just one standard drink a week. Even having 7 glasses of wine in a week will harm your brain due to that alcohol. I wanted to be a certain person but made all the wrong choices. Some research about alcohol's effects suggests cutting that down to 2 drinks a week. In Western countries, alcohol is the most harmful drug overall because it affects society the most, since it's the most used drug. Very few people can quit anything on their own. Our main message is that less is better. You know, when it comes to health, less is more. What do we know about how alcohol affects us? Alcohol is one of the top causes of health issues and deaths related to behavior, along with some social problems and money costs, including injuries, accidents, cancers, and heart disease. Drinking too much to avoid problems has become something we are very good at. But the really sad fact is that only 10 of people with alcohol use issues look for help. I hit my lowest point. I got lost in drinking. Out of those 10 of people, only 1 will have any kind of long-term success. This is why I don't like alcohol. And this is why I don't like drugs, because you aren't in charge. A substance is controlling you. That means 90 of people who are hurting right now won't look for help. And do you know why they won't look for help? People say that all they can do is quit and go to meetings forever. I remember talking to Patrick one night. He picked me up in his car, and we sat together in silence for a long 15, 20 minutes. Eventually, one of my friends who was having a tough time got out of prison, and I was there to pick him up. I waited outside until 3 o'clock in the morning. Finally, he came out and got in the car. This was like his 4th or 5th DUI. We didn't talk to each other, and while driving home, he asked, "Hey, Pat, why aren't you saying anything?" I replied, "Honestly, I see you in pain." Then I said, I don't know why I choose to do this. He told me, you always have a choice. We started to talk about two words, perspective and gratitude. Those two words changed everything for me. As we talked, I just want to see you get through this. I don't know what you're feeling, but I see your pain. I hope you know that life has meaning. I wish I could help you, but I don't have. Do you know I care about you? Yes. Do you believe I want the best for you? Yes. Do you want to be friends for a long time? Yes. Are we like family? Yes. Do you want to change? That's where I got stuck. You have to want to change if you're dealing with addiction, like I did. It's hard to say this, but I wanted to change. I just didn't know how. In the end, he found a way to get through it, and he's doing well. He's changed his life in a whole new way. Yes, but what you told him is important. People should know about that. That shows love and support. It's real because people don't want to face it. I would say two things about this. First, on both a conscious and subconscious level, people fear other drugs, illegal ones, because it helps them ignore their issues with alcohol personally and politically. Politicians get upset about new drugs because it lets them take action on drugs. They don't have to answer for their failures to handle alcohol problems. That's the first point. The second point I want to make is that nearly every family in Britain, if you think about a larger family with 3 generations, has someone who has been hurt by alcohol. This could be due to addiction, violence, car accidents, or being hurt by someone who was drunk and violent. Almost every family in Britain is affected, but we don't admit it. We tend to hide it away. We know there is a problem, but we don't talk about it because we don't know how to handle it, and we feel ashamed. So, ignoring alcohol and hiding the issues has become something we are very good at. We understand how alcohol affects the brain and what it does. I find this quite interesting because, as a brain scientist, I want to learn more about the brain. Alcohol is a great way to study different brain systems. The changes we notice from alcohol affect many kinds of problems. They relate to issues like sleep problems, epilepsy, anxiety, and depression. This drink that you can easily buy can cause big changes in how people think. Sometimes, some habits can become ways of living, and certain ways of living don't bring all the good things life has to offer. Some ways of living can lead to dark times, like depression, anxiety, and stress, and if not managed, can also lead to very serious problems in life. One of the issues is never reaching your limits, never really knowing who you are or your worth. You lose all your honesty and pride, and you lose yourself. A few years ago, I was in a really bad place in my life. They say depression comes from not being able to see your future. I couldn't picture what was ahead. I didn't know who I was meant to be. I wanted to be a certain way, but kept making the wrong choices. I made many mistakes. When it came to alcohol, which I was dealing with back then, it started with just 1 drink after work, then 2, then 3, and it turned into a habit, then a daily need, then a constant thing, then just a weekend thing, and I got lost in my own life. If you don't pay attention to the habits you make, they can turn into your life. Before I knew it, I was digging myself deeper. Everywhere I looked was dark, and I lost myself. I fell into a place where I felt worthless, and I had a hard time, but no one knew. I reached a low point where I nearly lost my job, and some people had to talk to me seriously. Some friends had to handle my problems, and they say that hurt people hurt others. I was in pain and hurting those around me without knowing it. Stopping was really hard. You need to find something more important to you than drinking, and think carefully about the bad effects of keeping it up. You have to let go of a lot of who you are when you stop being an addict, and let something new grow. If you have big dreams, and want to achieve something great in life, stay away from drugs and alcohol. I didn't know back then that alcohol is the second most addictive substance in the world. My first time drinking led to a never-ending cycle. Alcohol is the most harmful drug on earth. If it were invented today, it would be banned. Alcohol is the deadliest drug known, killing 3 million people each year. It affects every part of our society. But why have we let alcohol control our thoughts, actions, and behaviors? Maybe it's in our nature. It's a mix of things. I'm not sure, but I see many people trying to escape. They have to feel enough pain to want to change. The risks of alcohol are greater than any benefits. As alcoholics, we want to see one part of the puzzle, but we can't see the whole picture. When we become addicted to drugs and alcohol, Our inner struggles can make us act in ways we never imagined. I turned to alcohol to escape, feel better, and boost my confidence. I know many people who have died from addiction. Every Friday at 5 p.m., I would open a bottle of wine. I started to really dislike who I was. For the first time, I realized that drunk Julie was too strong for me to handle, and I needed help. Alcohol can be deadly. I was very close to that point. I think there's a good chance I could have died. Yes, I would have died. Why does society push us to drink? Maybe it's because many feel a fake sense of confidence when drunk, making social events easier but less satisfying. Maybe it's because drinking helps numb feelings. Maybe it's because alcohol is a huge business around the world. Many people support this industry, but few see the truth about alcohol. What would happen in your life if your bad habits got worse? One thing that can help you control your drinking is to really think about what you're losing and where you could be in 5 years if you don't get it under control. The urge to drink too much can be very harmful. Many people get pulled down by alcohol, especially if they are sensitive to how it affects them. You can tell that if you drink and feel more alert, excited, and full of energy, you might not want to stop drinking. That's a bad sign for developing a drinking problem. So, you should find something more important than drinking and really think about the bad effects of keeping it up. I have made tough choices, like when I decided to give up things I needed to move forward. This happened when I quit smoking and cut down on drinking. It was a tough choice. I was from northern Alberta, where people drink a lot, and I enjoyed alcohol. But I could not drink, write, do my PhD, and take care of my family at the same time. It was too much, so I stopped, and that was a good choice. So, that was a sacrifice. Alcohol slows down the brain and makes you feel relaxed but can also mess up your coordination. It stops some brain signals, leading to more confusion and slurred speech. These effects cause being drunk, which includes bad judgment, weak motor skills, and changed behavior. Every time I used drugs, every time I drank too much, every time I got out of control, I didn't have a bad time. But every time I had the worst night ever, I was high, drunk, or out of it. So it's not that everything you do ruins your life, but when you ruin your life, you are using something. I would see guys doing dumb things, and I thought they were doing it on purpose to avoid facing that they just weren't good enough. But now to think, oh man, if I just stopped drinking, you might tell yourself it wasn't my fault. You mentioned feeling awkward and being shy. You talk about a guy who goes to a bar. There's a kid who goes to a bar. He can't talk to a girl. He lacks confidence unless he's drunk or high. It's a way to feel okay and fit in. They aren't just addicted to alcohol. They're into that scene because of how it makes them feel. So when you talk to kids and have these talks, it's not about saying, don't do it or else. It's more like, you need to find a way to believe in yourself and take care of your mind and spirit. This will help you avoid these problems. For many of us, we think, why can't they just stop? Why do they harm themselves? How could they do this to me? We focus on us, right? How could they lie to me? How could they say they would quit and then keep going? Why can't they see who they are becoming? Just stopping doesn't work. We need help for the addict. We need 12-step meetings, therapy, and to check our mental health. We need to follow the steps, find a sponsor, and have a group of people who understand our struggle so we can support each other. That is our answer. But until we reach that point, stopping feels nearly impossible. I remember a time when my best friend and I had an intervention. We met on a Sunday in an office after the Saturday when he got very drunk and caused problems with our team. It was a day of giving up and accepting help. You used that word before. Yeah, we met in the office, and it was the first time I came in angry. It was also the first time he shared his feelings and cried in front of me. My anger went away right then because it was the first time I understood that he was struggling with something painful. That day, he decided to get sober, went to therapy, and started his journey. He has been sober for 8 years since then. It was a moment of giving up, where he reached out and said he needed help, and I really listened. In that moment, you see him for who he is, someone in pain. He feels guilt and shame for what he did. He has tried to quit and go back to drinking, thinking maybe it's just hard liquor or beer. He has tried everything and is hurting, not knowing how to stop. He doesn't have the right tools. I believe that the surrender you mention is a really special moment for someone struggling with addiction. It's like waving a white flag. We often see surrender as a weakness, right? We think you should keep fighting and not give up. But with this problem, the best thing we can do is surrender, admit our issues, and let others know we are struggling inside. It shows that something is wrong, and I don't know how to fix it. When he was honest with you, it allowed you to respond with love, even though you were upset about what he did before. You felt angry about past actions and the conversations you've had. Then you ask, what can you do as a caring 25-year-old friend? You come from a place of love and kindness. Even if it's not true, you can't really feel for others because you're not in their shoes. I believe that kindness is what makes me feel cared for. It's not just that I annoy them. They truly care about me. Letting go of what we expect from others and meeting them where they are is always the best way to be. When did you finally let go? I've had a lot of those times. My biggest moment was when I was 25 or 26. I felt like all my joy and happiness was gone. I remember walking outside in the summer in Seattle, which is the most beautiful place in the summer. I remember walking outside in a tank top and suddenly, I just started crying because I felt no happiness at all. It was gone, like it had vanished, and I didn't really want to be here anymore. In that moment, I didn't have a real plan to hurt myself, but I felt like maybe this world wasn't for me because I didn't know why I was here anymore. I felt nothing at all, except for deep sadness and a need to find more. Soon after that, I went to a family gathering and tried to hold it together and just get through it. My dad pulled me aside. I think my mom asked him to talk to me. We didn't often have deep talks, mostly with my mom, but I think she encouraged him. He pulled me to the side and asked me if I was happy. That was my moment of giving in. I couldn't lie to him. I couldn't fool myself. The answer was very clear. No way. I feel so broken. I don't even know what happy feels like anymore. And he asked me to go to rehab. Thanks.